Good evening, everyone. Today marks NASA's Day of Remembrance for America's fallen astronauts. Stratolaunch has closed on major funding round to grow their hypersonic flight services. NASA and DOE want a fission plant on the moon by 2030. JAXA taps iSpace for lunar debris mitigation study. You can never start too early these days. Also from Japan, a small business consortium is crowdfunding its lunar exploration robot. Rocket Lab had a setback with this neutron rocket. Interstellar raises major funding to expand its launch and satellite business. Haven 1, one of the first produced private space stations, is now actually undergoing assembly for launch. PJ Media asks what the SpaceX IPO will tell us about Mars. They have an interesting point of view. And of course, some questions from a bunch of analysts on that IPO itself. And all this, of course, with our guest, Sean Mahoney. From the news desk at the Center for Space Commerce and Finance, my name is Thomas Andrew Olson, and this is The Unknown Quantity. Of course, as you know, this podcast is produced and funded by the Center for Space Commerce and Finance. And what is the center? We champion and strengthen emerging space startups and space adjacent enterprises worldwide through advisory, access, and advocacy. Our pitch events and world-class boot camps fortify startups to be better investor ready. And a lot of our work, especially this podcast, is supported by our listeners and fans like you. So remember, the center is a 501c3 nonprofit. So if you just go to our website, cscf.space/support, click that donate button and drop something in the tip jar. Thank you all so much for your help. Now, my oldest space friend, Michael Lane, is here. Michael, come on in, man.
Hey,
how you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good. I struggled to make it. I had a meeting for NSS, so because we're doing the business track at ISDC. Yeah. I haven't been in one of their meetings for a while. I figure I better show up and wave the flag a little bit. Nobody had a question for me. Nothing. I just sat there and says, "Well, okay, I got to get back and do my show now. See ya."
Peace out. Right. But while we're talking about that, let's plug ISDC and what we're doing there.
Absolutely. We got three things going.
Yeah.
ISDC. We have our second annual, which hopefully will be an annual event, our 2-hour live podcast, which is actually a lot more popular than I thought it would be, doing it at the last minute. Well, we're on the schedule now.
Right.
We're going to fill that room, man. We're going to fill that room. But also, we have a full day business track on Friday, which is June 5th, I believe. And that runs from 10 a.m. through 6 p.m. And we're going to have a lot of great people, some of the usual suspects, some of the guys you like from the show, apparently, including our own Michael and Joe Luttrell, and who's going to be on next week. And a lot of other interesting folks, Kamisha Simmons, a lot of other people that have been doing some really great work. And it's going to be fun. And just before that, on that day, I have been tasked to do a panel on the main stage. For the first time ever, all the years at ISDC, if I get the main stage time, I'm hosting a panel on entrepreneurship and investment, and Dennis Stone will be there, and Roseanne Healy from Australia, and I've got some other folks I'm looking at. They've gotten the invitation, they haven't gotten back to me yet. That's still January. You know how this shit goes. The only thing I'm concerned about is make sure we're nailing down everybody we have for the business track itself, because those things, the bios and the abstracts, that has to be in by April 15, so you can so we can get in the program guide. And on the website. And also, if you're going to sign up for this conference, you should sign up before April 1st before the prices go up. So it's nss.org. You can find they'll have a big thing on ISDC. It's right here on their webpage. Boom, done. And you can get that there. And we spent way too much time on that. And I said that Joe Bistrito's here. Hi, Joe. He's already making a comment. He says Blue Origin to reuse its booster on NG3. Cool.
That's awesome.
That is really good. Very good. Morty's here. Hi, Morty.
I want to do a special shout out to Jason, who is our very first ever behind the scenes fan that wanted to just see how the sausage was made. So great having you there.
Okay. Yeah. That's cool. But he can't. But see, now he's in the same position I am.
Right.
He can't comment.
Sorry.
You know, that's the price you pay, Jason. So good on you. I got you for being here, and thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to it because we have a lot of stuff to go over. I want to get Sean in here as quick as he can. He's got a lot of great news today. I just wanted to say, it's very, very quick. That first link, NASA did a press release today. And I guess this is the day, it's like the third Thursday of every January now. They do a day of remembrance that honors our fallen heroes of space exploration, including Apollo 1 and the Challenger crew and the Columbia crew.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people. There's a lot other people from those like Gemini days who never made it into space, but also died in training. You know, Ted Freeman, Elliot C., Charles Bassett, and C.C. Williams come to mind. That's from my personal memory because I was there. I was a kid, watching this thing, so I still remember it. But there might be more that I haven't heard of. But this is the day to remember them all and to pay homage to their lives and their sacrifices.
I also have an interesting tidbit for that. And I'm really talking to one person in the audience, Morty, but I'll tell everybody the story. It was the Columbia crash that started the rift between Edwards and I and how we were going to fund the space elevator story. And a personal story is I got to go and see the Columbia crew training in the neutral buoyancy lab down in Houston before they flew. We got the press kit. I got postcards and peace signs and signed autographs, and it was a real deal. So when they died, it was a gigantic shock because I was watching it happen in real time. And Edward, so that tragedy happened, and then people started asking, well, space shuttles aren't the way to go. Maybe space elevators are the way to go. And that led to Edwards and I having an argument about funding, about how to move forward, and that actually was the catalyst for us splitting our original company and creating Liftport. So there's a lot for me personally tied up into that. Yeah.
I get it. Wow. Okay. But we got to move on. God bless these guys. Got to keep them. Rest in peace. But it says it's space and money. Stratolaunch secured major funding to scale their hypersonic flight services. Now, I don't know about you. I don't know what you think about this. I know I hadn't heard anything from Stratolaunch for a long, long time. That was kind of a spin out from Virgin Galactic a long time ago. And I know they struggled. They ran out of money for a while. And now apparently they've grabbed some major funding they've pivoted to hypersonic stuff.
Yeah.
And they gotten some major funding. They didn't tell us how much it was.
No.
Interestingly.
Right.
Okay, but
they're an interesting, they're a zombie project, somewhat like my elevators, in that they were funded by Paul Allen. When Paul Allen died, they're a local Seattle company. When Paul Allen died, his sister wouldn't commit more money to his space projects. So all of his advanced technology space projects withered on the vine. And we thought Stratolaunch was long gone. So they did get bought by a private equity company a couple of years ago, but they were totally quiet about what they were doing. They just said hypersonics was it. So
That's interesting.
fascinating to see that they're back on. There's a pulse there. I'd like to see that grow.
Well, interesting about an aside about Paul Allen. It just made me wonder what happened because he also owned a piece of the Portland Trailblazers.
Sure.
Where did that go?
His sister Jody was pretty notorious about trimming the tree, so to speak.
Uh-huh.
All the projects that he had that were kind of science fiction related. So he built Seattle's what's now called the Experience MoPop, Museum of Pop Art. Used to be the Science Fiction Museum. Used to be Music Experience Music Project. All that got cut. And his space stuff, his AI stuff is still thriving because it got extra money from other places. Sure. So he has an AI center, and his biotech group that I can't remember the name of also is thriving, but it also got money from other places. So those are the only two tech things that he built that still exist. He built a museum of computer science here in Seattle. It's been long gone. Yeah, his sister was pretty ruthless, but the things that made money, like the Trailblazers, I think she hung on to.
Yeah. Okay.
And all the real estate in what's called Seattle South Lake Union, that he owned all of that real estate, and Amazon has bought all of it. Mm-hmm. Meta, Facebook, Google, they're all clustered down there. They have made so much money on their real estate. It's boggling. So she's doing fine, but Stratolaunch, I'm really surprised they still exist.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Moving on. Very quickly, NASA and DOE now plan officially to set a goal to put a fission power plant on the moon by 2030.
Finally.
I know. Right?
I did. Yeah.
I am too. Well, I guess they got excited because they got most of their budget back. Mm-hmm. And maybe now they're getting like, hey, we can maybe do some shit. Well, let's run this one up the flagpole, which is grand. Absolutely.
I was wondering if this was a NASA budget or a Department of Energy budget.
That's a good question. I'll bet DOE can pump some in there because they have to share the regulatory side of it. Mm-hmm. Nuclear regulatory is under DOE. So I'm sure they have to. So NASA would tell them, well, we're not paying for the whole thing. Come on, guys. You're the ones regulating it all. Come on. We know what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I thought that was a very interesting tidbit of news today. And I was very happy to hear that.
Maybe we can talk to Sean Mahoney in a minute about some of the executive orders that came out of the White House recently and how that impacts the foundation.
Well, we're gonna talk about, because I was on one of these things just the other day, space policy town halls. They've been doing a bunch of stuff. That's one of the reasons I wanted to get him in on this, because there's some interesting stuff coming out of those things, and I wanted to talk about them. So we'll get there in a few short minutes. Yep. What's next? I believe it was JAXA. JAXA tapped iSpace for doing a study. Ready for this? About lunar debris mitigation. Mm-hmm. Now, not that we don't have enough problems, on the Earth right now in orbit, but let's. I thought, well, you can't start too early on that stuff, can you? Lunar debris mitigation. So let's see what they can do. And another interesting bit of news out of Japan today. There's an article came out. There are a bunch of small businesses in the Hyoshaka region, and they formed a little consortium because together some of these companies in that area invented a really interesting lunar exploration robot, and they are doing a crowdfunding campaign now to actually get it, finished and launched.
I love that. I missed this article. I'm going to keep this one on my links and follow it later.
Yeah.
That's kind of fascinating.
Isn't it?
By the way, if I was one of the guys, one of the last names of these two gentlemen is Yoda, Yoda. and I would market the hell out of that. That
Oh
is
yes,
cool.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Going to moon we are. Yeah.
I love this. It's
Isn't it cool?
it kind of looks like BB-8 from Star Wars. Like,
Doesn't it? Doesn't I
that's
love
a
the idea of this round ball thing. I just saw that
uh-huh.
thing like you could just roll around anywhere. I could see some guys exploring, some area of the moon or Mars, and they land like there's a big starship. Let's say it's land on Mars somewhere. It lands maybe on its side, not vertically or some way, and they just open this hatchway, and all these little balls start running out.
Yeah.
Start looking at everything and studying everything and sending data back to the astronauts who see it on a pad on their wrist and says, "Oh, look at this! There's lovely filth over here. Let's go." And that's amazing. It's the inspiration for that had to be incredible.
I'm gonna follow that up. That's super cool. I'm glad you pointed that one out. I hadn't seen that one.
Yeah, I just saw that today. I do this look through the Space Today, and so I get a lot of my stuff from there now.
Yeah.
And I found all sorts of weird shit. I thought, "Oh, this is great," Now that's the next thing up is something from Aviation Week. I guess Rocket Lab had a little setback with the Neutron.
Yeah. That's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, no significant damage to the test structure or facilities. So, it's
right.
It's the old line, space is hard. We all know it.
Yeah. Structural failure of the rocket stage 1 tank.
Right.
That seems vaguely important.
Well, but the company also says that the next stage 1 tank is already in production, and Neutron's development campaign continues. That could mean that they started it, 15 minutes before they issued this press release, so they could say that's true. But we don't know that. But yeah, that's definitely going to be a problem.
Yeah. Well, I hope it's not too much of a setback for them. They've got a lot of stuff on their plate this year that they want to accomplish, and so. Including launching out of Wallops. So we'll see how that goes. We'll be keeping up with that.
Yeah.
A company I haven't heard much of, but apparently doing pretty well, called Interstellar, raised a major Series F with an F to expand their launch and satellite business. And there's another one. It's really not.
Well,
okay, 129.7 million.
Right. They're out of Japan, so that's not exactly the same, the lens that we look through all the time. But we do try to catch that stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Series F, I had no idea. That's great.
Well, they're doing well. Apparently their Series E was 95 million just not too long ago. I'm assuming that was a Series E. They was raising a third-party allotment of preferred shares and DDD. You don't get through Series F without doing the first 5 letters. So, but they're doing really well apparently, and so that's how you get to a Series F. Like you're doing really well. So good for them. And that's another thing I wanted to mark up on our list.
Who was the company? What was the Japanese company that just kind of like sprung out of nowhere and did a small launch recently? A Japanese company that nobody was watching.
Of course, I'm completely blanking out now. I have to go back through my notes. I'd say because so much just blows through at once.
Yeah, right.
I need the AI start looking at all this stuff while I'm talking because my memory isn't what it used to be. I'm going to need the help, I think, here real soon. And I found a good AI. I'm really enjoying what it is, how it works. So I may actually sign up for a subscription to that one. And I'll let you know about it as I get a little more data in. I'll let you all in on the secret. But it doesn't seem to have any guardrails.
Okay.
Love that.
All right. Haven. That's probably my favorite story of the week.
Yep.
Gonna launch a space station.
Absolutely. They are. Yeah, they are. They say they're going to do it, and it's undergoing assembly. I think that is also a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So now it raises a question: when is it actually going to fly again?
Mid 2026, mid this year. And how crazy would it be if these guys who came out of nowhere beat Axiom, who had a nearly 6-year head start?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, actually, they're slipping the launch from the middle of this year to the first quarter of next.
Oh, I misread that.
Yeah, I just found it. So just 2 seconds ago, they had a public launch date of mid this year, but Max Hayat just said this is obviously our first space station, and we're moving as safely and as fast as we can. And so that's the date right now that we're confident we will meet.
That's awesome.
And so, but they say they're still a year or 2 years ahead of anyone else.
Yeah. There's we're tracking 6 space stations. So you got Voyager, Axiom, Blue Origin, Vast,
Starlab,
and then Starlab, and what's the 6th one?
Yes, Voyager. Yeah.
So, I mean, imagine a world where we have 6 different space stations all.
Reef. That's another one. Yeah.
Reef. Yeah. Orbital Reef. That's the one.
Orbital Reef.
Blue Orbit. That's Blue Origin. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a few. They've gotten ahead of the game a little bit. So I'll be very interested to see how it does, but we may have to wait till next year, sadly. Hey, but they're still ahead of everybody else. Last 2 quick things so we can get going here. This is very, very short. PJ Media did a thing, which they do all sorts of weird stuff, but they're saying what Elon Musk SpaceX IPO will tell us about Mars, and it's all about the what next thing. It's that okay, we're going to do the IPO, we're going to get it done, we're going to raise a crap ton of money. Okay, the why for that is simple, but the real question is what's next. And there's a couple different what's next you could do, and depends on what next is. And so the first part of that is what happens if the AI bubble pops before SpaceX builds out his orbital data centers. And so they don't have an answer, and nobody has an answer. And there's some small chance that maybe there's not a bubble in AI because there's no limit to the human desire to have machines, whatever we can get them to automate. And putting them in orbit eliminates the power production crunch. Maybe. Well, we've talked about this a lot, so I'm kind of skeptical about that too. But he said if the AI bubble was in fact a bubble, it were to pop tomorrow. This, unlike the housing bubble, you still had housing stock that would be picked up for pennies on the dollar. But I'm not sure what surviving infrastructure you get out of an AI bubble. And $1 trillion worth of rapidly depreciating NVIDIA graphics cards counts. So there's that. And then the second part of what's next, what they might do with all that IPO cash, is to kind of hoard the money a little bit and do something and be more serious about Mars. And so they could use that cash to keep the company's Mars ambitions intact. And they would do more things in that regard.
I think that's interesting. I don't think if you're a public company, you get to do just exactly what the CEO wants you to do. I think there are guardrails there for a reason.
Well, apparently he's got plenty of people, in his camp on that one. So we'll see.
Yeah.
And this last one we can't possibly go into in the depth that it deserves, but I just want to put the link out there for everybody because it's a big issue. They have a big panel of people in the industry, in the investment industry, and so they're talking about all the key questions for that IPO. It's an analyst roundtable, and there's some interesting folks on there. I think one person says it's a perfect timing for an IPO. Another point is SpaceX does need more capital. So if they want to do the same time Starlink version 3 and expansion of Starship, you need money to do it. Mm-hmm. And it's a good time. It says with the headwinds for the company, for the headwinds for Tesla, another guy thought it was a good time for us to pivot from Tesla being the center of the public universe.
That's been a
being center.
consensus argument. There's a lot of people that are like, he's done with Tesla. It's time to move to Mars.
Yep.
Those are all fanboys saying it, but I mean, I think
Mm-hmm.
that there's my hunch is I am not a fanboy. I think I've been clear about that for a long time.
Right.
Love SpaceX, but not a sycophant to Musk. But I think it is time. I really do think they're right on this one.
Right. Well, that same analyst said you can't justify the valuation of Tesla in the context of just normal metrics.
Right.
Because we're talking a 300 times earnings, price earnings ratio. Come, you know.
I'm going to just say here for the record that when my company starts getting a little bit bigger, I would like a 300 times earnings on my value bump on my valuation. Can I just ask for that? Because that's what I want.
Ask it is given. Right.
So I'm just gonna use the Musk metric. Sean, write it up. It's our Musk metric. I'm gonna continually just multiply everything I do by 300.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah. That beats Scotty. He only did it by a factor of 5.
I'm gonna.
Yeah. And he still looked like a miracle worker.
Right. Yeah. No.
There you go.
Multiplication. That's what I'm doing.
All righty. We have a great guest tonight, and let's get him on here. He's Sean Mahoney. He's executive director of the Space Frontier Foundation. They've been doing a lot of great things lately, and we're probably not going to have time to fit them all in. But let's fit Sean in right now, and so and put a quarter in him and get him yammering. Let's do this. Sean, how you doing, man?
Good to see you
again. I know you're back. I want to start out. I know. I guess I know Michael likes to go with the origin story. Give me 60 seconds on an origin story.
Sure. I'm going to tell you I went down to one of the shuttle launch early on. I was only like a few weeks into the industry, and I happened into a bar where a bunch of people were, and I was like, "Hey, I'm working for this startup company," and the guy kind of looked at me and just went, and turned and walked away, like blew me off, and I was like, "Ooh, this is a tough industry." And then I went to the New Space Conference and met people that were part of the Space Frontier Foundation. And that was a community that got it. They were, at the time, very focused on trying to help the entrepreneur and investment community. There wasn't anything in that space. And it was the home. It's where I found my home in this industry. So when asked to help out.
Oh, well, I get it too, because I was part of the pledge class of 2003.
All right.
I've been an advocate for a while.
And thank you for that. So yeah, that's my origin into the Space Frontier Foundation. And it is a place where it's not just people who are space enthusiasts, it's people who are in the machine, getting the stuff done, actually doing the work. And I understand it may not be for everybody, but if you are trying to work in this industry and you're finding it hard to figure out where all these things fit together and how to actually get stuff done, Space Frontier Foundation may be your home too. So
well,
there
let's
you go.
see. Let's see if our audience tonight gets it. Let's help them get it tonight. Because one of the first things I want to bring up is this thing about. I know you've been doing some. Oh God, where is it? The space policy town halls.
Yeah,
I actually got to attend my first one this last Sunday, and it was quite an interesting conversation. It was kind of driven by Jim Muncie a lot of the time, but he has a lot to say. And as part of the because. The foundation wasn't always, really hardcore in the policy stuff as an organization, except they had Jim and some people, and Aaron, and who's going to be in the show next week. And we're talking about. It seems like you're getting more and more involved at the policy end of things, actually trying to do something. Can you talk to us about what that's all about, and what are the new things coming out? You can give us a heads up on.
Yeah, well, thanks for joining. If you're wondering, if your viewers are wondering, hey, I didn't hear about that, it was a limited invitation, so get on our mailing list and we'll get you invitations for the next one of those. The idea for those town halls, and it was, Jim was like, hey, we're doing a bunch of cool stuff in here, but we need ways to make sure that we're bringing in other people into the conversation. So we did it kind of as a prototype. Let's figure out what sort of interest do people really care about the sausage making? And the answer seems to be yes. And so we want to make sure that there is some way for people to figure out what goes on behind the scenes, because policy and politics drives a tremendous amount of this industry. And if you've come out of school with an aerospace engineering degree, you probably don't have aerospace history, and you sure don't have aerospace politics. And so this is a way for us to try and reach out and make sure we're sharing some of what's going on behind the scenes. And as much as I love our space press, they can't cover things at the real depth. So yeah, Jim's one of the experts, Aaron's another. And so the policy team has been working and expanding what we've been doing, trying to make sure that we are a credible, neutral source when folks in DC are getting stories from companies, not only big aerospace, but also, startups, and we can answer some questions and be a source. We're going to be a big proponent of space utilization for the benefit of all mankind, but we're not going to just be pushing a particular company or just pushing a particular, I'm not going to say, we're not going to go lobby for elevators. We're not going to go lobby for small launch, but we can go up and be a credible source to folks that are trying to figure out what policies should be put into place. So that's kind of what the policy team has been doing. We've got the annual March Storm that we do with the NSS and Alliance for Space Development. And I came to my attention, I had posted something, a year and a half ago, basically saying we need the same rigor that our engineering minds put to design of spacecraft. We need to put that same rigor into our policy and politics. Mm-hmm. It is not just something that is like, we'll just go ask someone for money. Like you wouldn't want someone to design your spacecraft by just going, here's what I want, right? You want to actually design the thing. That you have to actually design and be intentional about your lobbying, about your advocacy for policy. And we're doing that.
Okay. So when you're doing that, it's like, I've always known this for years. That's never met Jim Muncie. This kind of thing is like watching sausage being made. And so what do you guys do then to try to translate that into plain English for people, who maybe don't have that mindset and want to know something?
I think the very first step of that translation is listening and is understanding what is it that the other person cares about and how do you connect to that. Yeah. Right. If we're talking about, like, especially anyone on the Hill, like anyone who's ever visited the staff of, their representative or whatever, they have 1 billion people that all think the thing they're doing is most important. And just coming in and saying that this is the most important thing you can do isn't going to stand out. Instead, say, what are you trying to do? And how does that align with what we're trying to do? And that, and sometimes it does require a lot of time requires simplifying things, but, that's the trick, because you're still going to get the same, why should I care about space when there's so many other problems on the planet? You're going to get all of the things about, didn't we do this before? Like, you get a lot of the same sort of hesitancy to embrace space. And what the foundation has been trying to do is figure out what it is people care about and help work on those things. So if you care about energy prices, using that as
Right.
Foundation is doing some work to take the benefits of space into the energy industry. You care about communication and making sure that you've got the ability to get emergency services throughout your community. Turns out space is a great way to get communication and connectivity. So it's not just hey, space is the thing that is the great answer for everyone. So
yep. Okay. I know Michael's itching to get in here. I've been kind of dominating the conversation.
No, it's good.
Come on in, man.
It's good. You do talk about energy. I do want to talk about energy. It's been a pet peeve of mine for the foundation for a while about canceling our beloved conference. So what are you doing for energy that gets me my conference back?
Well, funny you should ask.
It wasn't an accident.
The foundation several years ago, we had been doing some policy work. So the topic of where is space-based solar power from a policy standpoint, and so it was being tracked there. And then as we started to do a little bit more analysis, we looked at it and said, this is more than just a one of the things on the policy list, and turned it into a standing, ongoing project to promote space-based solar power, not to promote a particular company, not even to sell people on it's got to happen, but to make sure that we are communicating the potential value to proper audiences and making sure that their input is coming back in to any of the companies that are interested in it. So there was an International Energy from Space conference we've participated in. We helped at the organization of this year's, and at the end of that conference, the organizer, who had done a phenomenal job, announced that he was actually joining a new startup in the area. And the foundation was handed the baton now to take the Energy from Space conference and that mission and carry it forward. So we're kind of operating as a prototype of what might be the Future Industry Association, but we're kind of the advocate now. And so we are right now in the planning stages of a Energy from Space conference, trying to figure out where that next convening of people that are interested in this, and also taking all of the information and the expertise and the demonstration and all the rest of it, taking that out to other energy. We're in the process right now of offering basically a module of Energy from Space that can go to different conferences, and we can bring all the programming to do a whole segment,
right?
And bring in something. And look, I want the people who are going to say, but what about?
Right. Yep.
Sometimes we don't want, we need to just be able to go and be amongst the other believers. But in order to convert people, we have to be willing to go out and take the punches and not be defensive, but just say, that is a thing, and we're working that. What do you think? So anyway, that's you may see before there's another new space conference. You may see an Energy from Space conference. We, of course, will be doing March Storm. The big question, and this is a challenge for a lot of nonprofits. You work off of volunteers, and it saves you money, but it costs too much.
Right. Right.
And so I have developed the reputation. Any event that we want to do, I say, great. Can we start with it being profitable, and then we'll go from there? So that means there's things that we're not doing. I'm aware of that. But that's how we're going to be able to keep doing the work that we are doing. So there's
you wrap new space into space-based solar power, and I'm there. So
excellent. And we've been looking at some Yuri's Night opportunities, some other outreach things. How can we take the interest and enthusiasm around this topic and not just be yay space, but bring people together to help know where our community is, and then also take our message out to a broader audience. So
okay, so this conference you're talking about, is it definitely planned on a schedule, or you're still developing the idea?
It is being developed. We are in negotiations. Last 2 years it was in London and then south of France.
Mm-hmm.
It is an international conference, and so we have already received interest from some places that are outside the U.S., and we're just trying to make sure we can put all the parts and pieces together. So I don't have a date or anything to put on the calendar yet, but
that's fine. But I mentioned that because I think I have an idea. I want to run up the flagpole with you. So maybe after the show, stick around for 2 minutes.
Done.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, and what's really amazing is I was a convert back to this to the idea about space-based solar power. And people have heard the story. When I got into the industry, I was literally grabbed by the shoulders and steered away from the crazy space-based solar power, because amongst the crazy space people, they were the crazy. And there were probably some other. I didn't say it, but things change, and so my mind was changed when I looked at changes in cost of space, changes in cost of energy, changes in needed growth of energy, and transmission issues. So those are the things that kind of moved me, and I was like, all right, this is the thing that should be this should be part of the conversation. If anyone is looking at future energy planning and doesn't have this in the mix, they're behind. So and I will tell you, not everyone in our community has been on board, but I will also tell you that a number of people have said, yep,
Sign me
all
up.
right, I'm changing my mind now. I'm on board with you. And that's great. Like that is phenomenal. I love the people who tell me I'm full of malarkey, and even more when they come back and go, yep, all right, I'm on board now. And look, I'll change my mind again as well. So anyone who's out there who has previously said, oh, this will never work, or cost too much, there's room on the bandwagon if you want to jump on.
Okay.
I moved from Earth elevator to lunar elevator, but I started on Earth elevator so that I could build space-based solar power.
Yep.
So that was my starting point. Well,
and I've been a known skeptic of space-based solar for a long time, only because there's so many unknowns with it, and it wasn't ready yet. I thought, well, maybe by mid-century we'll have something really cool. Well, you know what? I'm not wrong yet.
Yeah,
we are halfway to mid-century right now.
Right.
And maybe on my 96th birthday, I'll finally see something actually fly and work, and I'll be the first guy there going, we finally did it.
Yep.
Amen. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to celebrate regardless. My hope is that we can take that brighter future and pull it a few years closer to today. The closer we can pull that bright future to today, the more benefit that we get to bring to humanity.
And the more you do that, the better chance I have of actually living to see it. So I'm happy with that. That's fine.
I'm betting we're going to use regolith, and it's going to be it's going to source from the moon. The big part of source from
I wouldn't bet against you.
Yeah.
And the great thing is that there are different markets, and there's different ideas, and like there's people that are doing baseload power. There's people companies that are working on spot power, like remote. There's people that are doing
space is going to be first, right?
Space
That's
the
easiest market. Yeah.
So that is the beautiful part about it. And like, not all those companies are going to make it, but that's fine. That's part of.
We had 150 rocket launch companies 10 years ago on a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Nobody is talking about 150 launch companies anymore.
As long as we are not and I'm going to use this as a transition point, as long as we're not trying to say, well, let's do it with what we did before. I don't. If we're saying we're going to do some great new thing, and we're going to saddle it with the stuff that we designed in the 60s and 70s, that's not going to get it. And as much as I love this, the effort and the energy that is behind use of space in more areas, I'm still challenged by the large programs that are required to drag forward this, because it was already built. It's the sunk cost fallacy. And I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but and it's difficult for those of us in the bubble that Artemis 2 is awesome.
Right.
And it's a reenactment. I mean, I know it's all right, but it's like it's a reenactment. And look, I can learn a lot. It's cool to see, Revolutionary War reenactment.
Right.
But I don't want to be sending Revolutionary War reenactors to an actual conflict today. And this is the thing that
exactly. And that's a good way to put it. We have it's basically a reenactment of Apollo 8.
Yeah, which is great.
Which is what it is.
Yeah, which is great. We need it. It's a useful tool. It's a useful demonstrator.
It's still Apollo on Viagra, though. I mean,
maybe it's not even. I don't even think it's very much close to Viagra. It's pretty much what we did. We didn't add that much to it.
Yeah.
For many years, I didn't say anything about it because, frankly, it was tax. It was an overhead. It was Casey Dreyer at Planetary Society, phenomenal. He said, there's a lot of people that don't like it, but this is the cost of doing business.
Right.
And then we actually had a president said, hey, not let's cancel it today, not let's doge NASA or anything, said let's do the 2 missions and get off of this. And that's the right direction. The antibodies are still fighting it. And the antibodies are kind of winning. So that's part of the reason why the foundation has taken on the job of talking more about this and trying to make sure that it is part of the conversation. Because it's really easy for people to go, "Ooh, space is cool," and then they move on to something else. Meanwhile, the advocates who want to continue, they keep sticking around. And so we've got to make sure that we stick around as well. Soapbox.
So, we've got a new administrator. Finally, we've got some direction from the White House. Not a big fan that they killed the National Space Council, so that was an error. It was the correct move to bring it back when you first got into office. It was an error to kill it now. But this is where we are. We're going to put nukes on the moon in 4 years. So that's cool. There's plenty of other stuff in that executive order and in the other documents that are coming out. Where do y'all stand on this?
On which one? The nukes on the moon?
Pick something. Pick something with we're not a political show. We're not that.
Yeah. And to be clear, the foundation we have people within the community that are politically connected to both and other parties as well.
Right.
But we're nonpartisan, bipartisan, et cetera, et cetera. I think that having so far, the administrator has done a strong job of getting in and moving things. I'm really intrigued by the narrative arc here over the last several years when Jim Bridenstine, Congressman Bridenstine, was nominated.
Yeah,
that was, oh my God, you can't have a politician.
Right, we lost our own minds. Yep, and
he was phenomenal.
He was great. Yeah, he converted me. I was 100% against And before he left, long before he left, 100% converted me. Yeah.
Yeah. And so there's, now there's some people say, oh, well,
Nelson, not so much as the senator that kept SLS alive.
But the narrative of, well, you can't do it unless you've done it that's not a valid logical argument. That might be a nice thing to just say, but it's not true. And so Administrator Isaacman has shown that he can do some phenomenal things. Let's take that skill set and fold that in, and he'll make his imprint on. And then, I think this is excellent, and I think it's needed. And I feel so bad for folks at NASA that are feeling they're beat up on a regular basis. And then the whole idea of needing to protect NASA employees, we need to protect these space jobs and these big companies. And
that's the narrative.
Yeah, but these people don't want to be protected. They want to do great work. They want to be unleashed. They don't want to be protected. And so I'm trying to help erode some of that narrative of, well, we've got to do these big programs because we've got to protect these jobs. That's BS. These big programs don't. I understand the politics, and that's the way of it.
Right.
But let's not pretend that we're doing it because these people are infants in need. Don't treat them that way. So that's another one of the things that really gets me fired up. So I am hopeful, and I am emboldened by hearing from the administrator kind of breathing some of that that energy and life into the people, talking about his priorities. He's talked about to the workforce about making sure they're getting out and they're getting out into the community. And I don't know, I'm excited. So
I think they put the wrong moat up, right? They went out and they spent a lot of money to protect the one thing that was expendable, which is SLS and Gateway and that whole rigmarole. But they didn't put a moat around the one thing that only NASA can do, which is exploration science with the big budgets and the big, whether it's telescopes or Mars or going to another planet. Those are not commercially viable systems, right? But SLS, you could have sacrificed that one, moved that money, protect. I would protect, in the words that you just used, I would have protected the science community at NASA, but I would have jettisoned the commercial the folks that could be replaced by the commercial sector. And if you've got NASA cred behind your name, if you got NASA on your resume, you're going to get rehired by the commercial sector somewhere, right? So I think that's a safe bet. So I'm not
right. Yeah, I mean, thank God, Planetary Society led a huge coalition and was able to push back. And the cuts to space side. Again, that's a.
But the damage was done before they reached the finish line.
Yes.
Right. Let's not overshadow that. Right.
Nope.
Thousands and thousands of super smart, credentialed, experienced people, and seriously, God knows how much money and equipment was sacrificed before. I'm glad that the Planetary Society did what they did, but they didn't come to the rescue fast enough. And not throwing shade at them, but that rescue mission didn't quite succeed the way we wanted it to.
I'd say they did everything and more.
Everything that could be done.
They did.
They did. No question. Not questioning that. But it
still took a while. Yeah. And look, and this gets into some people feel strongly about a person or a party and they run everything through that lens. And if there's a thing they don't like, then they're just going to say no. And this is where my appeal to fellow space advocates is look for the good things that you see coming and be able to talk about those good things, not just why everything is terrible and everything sucks.
Right.
Sure. But I guess I wanted to mention before I glitch out again is that you were talking about the Artemis policy, and here's what we should do in this. The guy you have to convince on that, sadly or not, is Ted Cruz. He has been becoming the force behind a lot of status quo stuff lately. He has really been running that committee, and so he's the guy you got to convince, and that's a brutal fact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I will say here, that is very apparent.
And by the way, full disclosure, the Center for Space Commerce and Finance is a Texas registered organization. So please, Mr. Cruz, listen to what we're saying, because we're part of your team, buddy. Listen
to them, but don't put money in them just because they're in Texas.
Right.
So, yes, we are very aware. And that's why we're doing some of the work that we're doing to try and make sure we're doing outreach to other audiences. And some people have poked at us recently. Yeah, we are actively seeking other audiences outside of space that share some core piece. And there's an awful lot of people in the conservative world that are not a big fan of the sort of protectionist, big government sort of things. And so it's been great. We've actually found people are excited about that and have come into the foundation because of that message, and because it resonates with the thing they care about, right?
I told one of our regular audience members, Morty, to push the environmental argument, because if we can get access to environmental dollars, there's no project in space that can't get funded. So push that argument.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Look, we've got about 3 minutes to go, and we're usually that time of the evening. We want to get out your crystal ball and tell us what you think our world looks like in 5 years, and what does it look like in 25 years from your perspective?
5 years. I will say, I don't believe it's deterministic, but what's a good possibility? I am going to say that in 5 years, we will have at least 2, if not 3 other direct economic benefits that space is providing to the Earth. And so right now we've got communication and observation, right? So Starlink is an extension of that communication. I think within 5 years, there will at least be 2 other major sectors of the economy that are going to be tapping into space beyond just the observation and communication. That, if I had to guess, and I'm going to put, power. And I do think in-space manufacturing has the potential to have a moment. I'm hopeful. I'm going to say that could happen in as soon as 5 years. Awesome. Because it's a thing
in power.
The difficulty we've had is that space doesn't operate at the time scales of other industries, or it hasn't until now.
Right.
So we've got that. In 25 years, I think the Bezos idea of zoning Earth residential and maybe some light industrial stuff is. And whether it's 25 or it's longer, that's where we're going to be. I do think the moon will be bigger than oil platforms. Like, it'll be a hazard tour, but you will have people that will be working in space as a domain, not of pure science or of national prestige, but as a domain of human, economic,
industrial,
and cultural activity. So I don't know if that's flowery enough, but
yeah, no, I love it. An industrial space. That's what it's got to be.
Which will then allow more science, and it will allow more exploration, and all of those things that other people love will happen even more as space is used as an economic engine.
Love it.
And on that, we have to move on to the next show. But Sean, it's always lovely having you. I know we're going to have you again. Always great things going on with your organization, and love it. And so thanks so much. Stick around for a couple of minutes. And
thanks to you, gentlemen, too.
And we'll do that. Okay. So next week, Monday, our guest is Joe Luttrell of Cube Inc. He's a big fan of the show, and he has a lot of great stuff he's working on. And he's going to share all the latest things that he's doing with his satellite systems and a lot of other stuff he's working on. It's pretty amazing. And so we're gonna do that Monday, as always, 8 p.m. Eastern. So for Michael Lane and Sean Key, I am Thomas Andrew Olson. Keep watching the skies.